This week, the House finally passed a resolution calling for the U.S. to cut off its support for the Saudi war on Yemen. This is something that a number of different individuals in both the House and Senate sides have been pushing for a long time. It is technically bipartisan, although the vast majority of the support has been coming from Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Roe Kan and a number of others, Chris Murphy. And that resolution that was just passed states that Congress hasn't authorized military involvement in Yemen, where the U.S. is backing a Saudi-led coalition in a conflict against Iran-allied Houthi militants. A handful of Republicans joined Democrats in passing the resolution by a 248 to 177 vote, with one member voting present. The point there being that finally, after literally decades of the War Powers Act, which by its very nature shouldn't even be necessary because the Constitution is relatively clear on this point, Congress would in fact exercise its authority over the war powers of the United States. And so that's what they're doing here. 177 members were like, no, I'm not interested in my constitutionally delegated power. I give that to Donald Trump. But the good thing about this is that it has passed in the House. It already passed in the Senate about a month and a half ago at this point. Unfortunately, at that point, the Republicans controlled the House, so it died. There was no vote. But now there theoretically is nothing stopping this resolution from going forward and landing on the desk of Donald Trump.
I want to give credit to a couple of Republicans, since it's not often spoken on the Young Turks. Walter Jones of North Carolina, who continues to be the one honest Republican I can always point to. We disagree massively on 90, 95, 98% of issues, but he is an actual honest conservative and has real principles. So I'm not at all surprised to see him on the list. But also Ken Buck of Colorado and Andy Biggs of Arizona joined here. Moderate Democrats like Kathleen Rice joined. So this is a real coalition in Congress. And once again, led by a progressive. So every time that the Republicans and Democrats are brought together to the benefit of the American people and not corporations, it is led by a progressive, whether it's in the House or the Senate. And now mainly, we gotta acknowledge that Roe Kan is a giant here. I mean, he has gotten so much more done than almost anyone else in Congress, constantly fighting on issues that matter, real policy issues. He knows these issues inside and out. If there is an intellectual leader to the Democratic Party at this point, I would say that it is Roe Kan. And again, he got the job done here. Remember how many people are dying in Yemen? I mean, the low count is 60,000 civilians that have died in this war, let alone the people who have starved. 85,000 children in a separate count have died from hunger and disease because of the blockade of Yemen that we are aiding and abetting. So it's about time that we said, hey, listen, if we're gonna do that, the American people have to actually agree. We have to actually have a vote on it in Congress, and we cannot have the president, because he has deals with the Saudi government, agree to this war that the rest of America did not agree to.
So let me pick up on that. So Roe Kan, giant, props to him. There's a larger point here, which is the importance of new blood within the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
You'll recall Roe Kan defeated a Democratic congressman to win his seat. Many progressive groups, including our own, were resistant to that when we didn't quite know what he was all about. But mea culpa, Roe Kan is amazing. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, even Beto beat a corporate Democrat, right? So it's important to understand, see the pattern here. It's like, wow, 2 out of the last 3 stories we did were these newbies who defeated Democrats and are now playing a national leadership role.
Yeah.
In addition, this is the importance of calling the question sometimes on policy, right? Democratic leaders sometimes don't want to schedule a vote on things like Medicare for all, because they know that when the question is called, the votes will actually come in, and they fear that. They fear to take on the corporate donors. They think erroneously that their frontline red to blue members will be taking a bad vote for voting for 80% popular propositions. But sometimes you just gotta force the vote and let the chips fall where they may, and surprise, surprise, we'll probably win the next election.
That's right, and I just want to double down on that. Look, so when you look at the people fighting for policy positions right now, I'm not part of the group anymore, so I don't even know if they're still consider themselves just Democrats. There's been some votes we didn't agree on, et cetera, so I don't know where they stand. But the original 7 just Democrats that came in, Roe Kan, he was an incumbent, he was the first to declare himself a just Democrat. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Pramila Jayapal, and Grijalva. So I just named you the exact set of people that have introduced all of the new proposals. It turns out that you can conquer mountains and and do so much if you actually try, if you're a bold progressive. And there are groups. I mean, look, Just Democrats are doing it again. They're nominating a whole new set of people, just like they did with AOC. So go to justdemocrats.com/nominate. Go to justdemocrats.com/donate. Go to Adams Groups, PCCC, boldprogressives.org. There are real progressive groups that are in the fight. And if you get in the fight, you can make a gigantic difference. Look, if you're a part of PCCC, you're a part of the Young Turks audience, you're a part of Just Democrats, you made a lot of those victories possible.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, you have begun to change the world. And you see it right in front of you. So we told you they could win these votes. We told you they could win the elections, and we told you they could win the votes. And here it is. If Roe Kan and the other fighters, and credit to all the people who voted the right way, okay? And including Democratic leadership on this issue, because if Pelosi, et cetera, had not agreed, they would not have gotten here. And so credit to all the people involved. But if we had not gone in that direction, we'd be neck deep in the atrocity of Yemen and the slow motion massacres that are happening there.
Yeah.
So that's how we fight and that's how we win.
I just want to also say, well, there's so many people that do deserve credit on this that have been talking about it constantly, but I think we're rightfully focusing on Roe Kan. I think he's come on the Damage Report 4 times to talk about Yemen, and he's always been willing to do that. And it's great when the progressives put forward any big bill, but especially when you're doing something that has so much moral upside, but so little public relations upside. Like there's policies you can push for that even if they don't pass, you look good because you were talking about them. Nobody cares about Yemen. That is an incredibly depressing thing, but it is true. But that has not stopped him from spending a significant amount of his entire working time on this issue, knowing that the vast majority of the news isn't gonna cover it. Most people still, after all this time, years and years of slaughter and famine and all of that, don't think about it, but he still prioritized it because he knows that it fits with his values and that it deserved his efforts.
And remember this moment in the upcoming 2020 debate, when we are told by Michael Bloomberg and others, oh, we should not be making promises that we can't keep. This stuff is impossible, so we shouldn't propose it. We shouldn't try. When people fight, they try, they win.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to actually nominate a progressive who can get big things done.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.